Mina found the perfect apartment. Small, cozy, nestled in a quiet Tokyo neighborhood. The rent was affordable, the location ideal. It was everything she hoped for. She unpacked boxes, her excitement growing. Soon, the apartment felt like home. Exhausted but happy, Mina fell asleep. That night, the noises started. The next day, Mina tried to dismiss the noises. She told herself it was stress. The city was new, her job demanding. It was only natural to feel on edge. But the following night, the whispers grew stronger. Scratching sounds joined them, emanating from the walls, like tiny claws scraping the plaster. Mina's unease intensified. This was more than just an old building settling. She started to notice other things. Cold spots in the apartment despite the summer heat. The feeling of being watched, even when alone. Her once welcoming apartment now felt oppressive, suffocating. Fear turned to dread. She had to find the source of the disturbances. Determined, Mina began to explore the apartment. Her search led her to the back of a small closet. Hidden behind old blankets, she found a wooden box, its surface covered in dust. Inside lay a small porcelain doll. Its once bright kimono was faded, its painted face cracked. The doll's vacant eyes seemed to follow Mina's movements. Beneath it, she found a leather-bound diary, its pages yellowed with age. Mina felt a chill run down her spine as she touched the worn cover. She opened the diary, her fingers tracing the faded ink. The handwriting was elegant, filled with a mother's love and despair. The diary belonged to a woman named Hana. She wrote about her life in the apartment, her joy at the birth of her child, a daughter named Yumi. But the entries soon turned dark, filled with chilling accounts of strange occurrences. Section 4. The diary's tragic tale. Hana wrote of whispers and shadows, of a cold presence that haunted her home. She believed her apartment was cursed. Her entries became increasingly frantic, filled with paranoia and fear. The whispers, she claimed, spoke of taking her daughter. They wanted Yumi to join them. Then the entries stopped abruptly. Days later, a final entry, written in a shaky hand, revealed the horrifying truth. Hana, driven to madness, confessed to taking her own daughter's life. She couldn't bear the thought of the voices taking Yumi. The diary ended with a chilling sentence. Now we will be together forever. Mina's blood ran cold. The whispers, the scratching, the doll. It all made sense now. The apartment was haunted by Hana and Yumi. That night, the disturbances escalated. The whispers became screams, echoing Yumi's name. The temperature plummeted. Suddenly, the closet door swung open. The doll lay on the floor, its vacant eyes staring at Mina. Then she saw them, two figures shimmering like heat waves in the air. Hana, her face contorted in anguish, and a smaller figure beside her, Yumi, clutching the porcelain doll. Mina wanted to scream, but no sound came out. She was paralyzed with fear, her breath caught in her throat. The ghostly figures moved closer, their forms solidifying. Hana's eyes filled with a chilling emptiness, locked onto Mina. A cold wind swept through the apartment. Mina felt a hand on her shoulder, its touch icy and insubstantial. She was trapped. The room grew cold, the air heavy with despair. Mina felt a presence surrounding her, suffocating her. The ghostly figures of Hana and Yumi were closer now, their forms almost solid, their expressions filled with a terrible sadness and longing. Mina tried to break free, to escape the icy grip that held her captive. But it was no use. The spirits were too strong. Whispers filled the room, swirling around her like a vortex of despair. They spoke of loneliness, of a mother's love twisted into madness, of a child's lost innocence. Mina understood then. They didn't want to harm her. They wanted her to join them, to become a part of their eternal sorrow. The last thing Mina saw before the darkness consumed her was the doll, its cracked porcelain face illuminated by an eerie internal glow. She was trapped, forever bound to the haunted apartment in Tokyo. Another lost soul in their tragic, unending story.